I think one thing I'd like to point out too about that executive order is that we recognize the other ecosystems that exist, and that's why we have the digital assets national stockpile as well.
Wow, new data shows that whales are accumulating Ethereum hard. $50 million of Ethereum swept up in the last few hours. And this is in addition to BlackRock buying nearly $50 million of Ethereum themselves. We know BlackRock's wallets. We don't know who these whale wallets belong to. And of course, we know Trump's wallets and other big financial institutions are big Ethereum holders as well. Over the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you my new 2025 Ethereum price prediction. We're going to compare my bull thesis to other Ethereum bull theses in the crypto space. But I'm making this video today to let you know, and I actually sent this to a few of my other crypto friends to let them know, Ethereum has probably bottomed out, and we have a much better shot of hitting 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 per one Ethereum. This is much more likely, or I'll give you my number in just a second, but a higher Ethereum price like this is much more likely in the midterm than Ethereum hitting 1K in the midterm, in my opinion. This video, of course, is not financial advice. You subscribe to Altcoin Daily for info and opinion. Always make your own decisions. But the fact is, technical and on-chain analysis suggests Ethereum has capitulated. Data is suggesting that Ethereum is now undervalued. This isn't coming from me. This is actually coming from 5 trillion Fidelity. Plus, I've been following the market for years now. This is why you subscribe to me. I know much more than most people on crypto YouTube. And from a cycle perspective, this would be the time when Ethereum really starts to shine, then altcoins. Because we're seeing Ethereum dominate Solana and Algorand and all the other cryptos. Ethereum is dominating every other crypto when it comes to tokenization and real-world asset race. Hey, I still like Solana. I still like Algorand. I think they're going to continue to take away market share. Real-world asset blockchains, I think, are going to be key this cycle, but it doesn't change the fact that Ethereum is dominating them right now. And looks like it will continue to dominate. And because of this, what this means is that Ethereum, in a way, is dominating the institutional race. Ethereum is miles ahead in the race to become the global settlement layer for traditional finance. It didn't matter that retail was into faster and cheaper chains like Solana and Aptos, which, like I said, we do still like. But TradFi recognizes that Ethereum is the most battle-tested, credibly neutral, and decentralized network, making far and above the best option for what Boston Consulting Group predicts will be a $16.1 trillion market by 2030. I point this out so you understand this is why we're seeing BlackRock, Fidelity, WisdomTree, Sony, Deutsche Bank, UBS, Coinbase, all making Ethereum the core of their on-chain strategies. But even the White House Director of Digital Asset Strategy, Bo Hines, said in a recent interview with Bitcoin Magazine, it's pretty obvious that we're in a crypto space race as well, not just Bitcoin.
I think that there is definitely a sort of space race as it pertains to accumulation of this asset, no different than there is with gold, right? So we're very excited about it. I think one thing I'd like to point out too about that executive order is that we recognize the other ecosystems that exist, and that's why we have the digital assets national stockpile as well. We want to encourage innovation in other spaces in the industry, but I think it's really important that we do deliver on the president's desires as it relates to that.
BlackRock is buying Ethereum, building on Ethereum, and supporting Ethereum hard. Why is that? What does BlackRock know about Ethereum that we don't? What is BlackRock planning with Ethereum that they haven't fully let on to yet? This question was actually posed to BlackRock's competition, Bitwise, CIO of Bitwise, Matt Hogan, on the Paul Bearer network. Now, BlackRock is a competitor to Bitwise. Bitwise is a competitor to BlackRock. They're both trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin, Ethereum, and quality altcoins as they can. But still, I found it interesting, Matt Hogan's answer on BlackRock and Ethereum. He basically says that BlackRock is both making a big bet on Ethereum, but also kind of writing the future for themselves by supporting Ethereum in the way they're doing it. What BlackRock is doing with Ethereum, make no mistake about it, is hugely bullish for Ethereum, the asset. Even Bitwise must admit.
You look at BlackRock holding a large percentage, especially within ETH in general. Why do you think that is? Why do you feel like they have been able to lean so much into the Ethereum ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about BlackRock is they're the largest asset manager in the world. They're a hugely respected name, and they're able to introduce concepts to a huge number of investors just from their scale and breadth. I think everyone in the crypto industry, they're a competitor of ours, but I say this meaning it. I think everyone should be thankful that they're out there advocating for the space. I think the message you can read from that, Paul, is that when you present Ethereum to sophisticated investors, some portion of them want exposure to that. That tells you a lot about the direction this is going, because more and more investors are going to be presented with this concept of Ethereum in the coming years, right? We're still early in this process. So I see that as a down payment on where we're going and a sign that there is institutional adoption and institutional interest for Ethereum out there.
So we are and have been seeing a lot of Ethereum accumulation at these levels. There's a lot of reason to think that Ethereum price will continue to grind higher and over time, especially in the second half of the year, rage into a full-scale Ethereum bull market. And there are really two key metrics we're looking for. Matt Hogan of Bitwise explains.
Of course, ETH could be in a very interesting spot right now. If you look at the Ethereum spot ETF, this is total net inflow, you'll start to see a little bit of action happening here in the last few days. Of course, we haven't seen these kind of moves really for quite some time. Do you feel like this is setting Ethereum up, back to your point, for institutional grade awareness to where we're going to start seeing some heavy activity? What are your thoughts on predicting Ethereum moving forward from here?
I think it's a positive sign. For Ethereum to enter a new bull market, it needs to turn two keys. One key is we need this regulatory switch to turn. We need stablecoin legislation. We need market structure legislation that lets big institutions move into the space. I think we'll get that before August, at least a down payment on that. So that key will turn. The other half is on the Ethereum side itself. The community has been confused about the direction that it's been going. The Ethereum Foundation has recently articulated a new direction. It recognizes the issues that have held it back over the last few years. That's the first step towards curing those issues. If that can continue to move on a positive path and we get this positive regulatory development, I think you're going to see a very strong Ethereum bull market. For a long-term investor, looking out a couple years, I think it's a phenomenal moment to build a position in ETH. We have huge stablecoin growth, huge DeFi growth, but we're going to have to monitor those two things to see how fast that bull market materializes.
So at this point, it's pretty obvious that the market is turning bullish for not just Bitcoin, but altcoins too. This market really does go in cycles. And I believe, based on everything that we go over on this channel all the time, I believe that once Bitcoin breaks above 100K again, clearly, the whole crypto market will blow. Bitcoin never breaks a major milestone clearly, but when it holds, it explodes. It took 4 tries to break $1, 7 tries to break $100, 8 tries to break $1,000 per Bitcoin, 14 tries to break $10,000, and 6 tries so far to break $100,000. After 100,000 comes 1 million. I think it's pretty obvious that Bitcoin ends the year above $100,000. A very realistic Bitcoin price prediction on Yahoo Finance the other day by Bitcoin IRA founder. He says it's pretty obvious Bitcoin clears this price by the end of 2025.
I think that with the monetary supply, the global M2 supply correlation, it's not too crazy to see us somewhere between 150 to 180,000 as we close out this year in 2025 for the Bitcoin price.
What would be the core driver to get us there, though?
Obviously, monetary supply, a liquidity market where we're pumping more fiat currency into the marketplace always helps these types of assets, risk-bearing assets. Then secondarily, you have the impact of halving. It's usually within 450 to 500 days where you start to really see that the effect of what happened last April. And then you add in this institutional play. And for me, it's the delta, that tale of two cities between traditional markets and crypto markets. When folks are looking for, I wouldn't call it hedges, but more diversification in this environment, Bitcoin is starting to show a little bit more of that shine and luster than it has over the last few months.
So I do think Ethereum breaks its all-time high and hits $6,000 this cycle, $6,000 Ethereum. Now, if Bitcoin breaks over $200,000 this cycle, I think Ethereum hits $10,000 this cycle. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. We keep you updated on a daily basis. This is a continuing story. You need to subscribe and watch regularly to get that edge over most everybody else in the crypto space. My name is Aaron. If you're interested in buying crypto or trading crypto regularly, I recommend the pinned comment, the exchange BitUnex. Get $8,000 in trading bonuses. This is where I trade. See you there.